Hey y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to my Sunset Concierge channel today. My name is Angel Williams, legacy stylist at Sunset Concierge, and this is our series Legacy and Tea, where we spill the tea on all end of life matters. So real quick, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're interested in protecting your family and creating lasting acts of love, please check us out on www.sunsetconcierge.com, and we will have all the links and information down in the comments below. So today we are talking about grief in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic. So oftentimes when we talk about grief, we immediately think about the loss of a loved one. But grief really is the reaction to loss. And so, yes, we've lost things. People have lost their jobs, for example. But there's the everyday things that we've lost also. The loss of normalcy, the loss of security and safety, the loss of your daily routine. And so I think that it's really important to acknowledge that and acknowledge those feelings and identify it as a level of grief. And so there are different types of grief. And I think the one that is most appropriate when speaking about loss in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic is anticipatory grief. And that is the lingering feeling and sense of loss, that there's more loss to come, more loss to experience, and maybe you might not be able to exactly pinpoint what you're feeling or what you're scared of losing maybe. But so yeah, that's called anticipatory grief. Now, in the US, it is now March 2021. Worldwide, it's March 2021. In the US, we have had, according to the CDC, 28 million plus COVID-19 cases and over 500,000 deaths. And so I just want to say that whatever you're feeling right now, whatever level of grief and anxiety or, those down feelings are very valid, even if you have not experienced a great loss or lost a loved one from the COVID-19 pandemic. As a people, as a human race, there's this collective sense of grief which is happening right now. And so your feelings are valid. Now, when we talk about grief, there are 5 stages of grief. So I just want to say first that they're not linear. So it's not necessarily that you're going to experience stage 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Maybe you might be at 1, then go to 2, then go to 5, then go to 3, then back to 5 again, and then 4. It's not linear. Everyone experiences grief in different ways, and that's okay. So the first stage of grief is denial. Yes, there's a virus that started very far away in another country, as far as we know, and we were told it started off in China. And, yeah, it might come to the US, but we're the big, great, and mighty US, or the big, great, and mighty Europe, or the beautiful Caribbean, and we're not really going to be affected, right? We're going to have a handle on this. So, let's not pay too much attention. So denial. The second stage is anger. Okay, so the virus is here now, and now we have to do lockdowns. Now we are being limited in how we can move around. And so there's just this anger because everything is not the same. and also out of our control. Then the third stage is bargaining. So, yes, the pandemic is here, this virus is out there, but if I just take one trip, then that's going to be okay, right? So you're bargaining. The fourth stage is depression. You're feeling very down and out. There are all these changes. There's this new world, new way of doing things. It's taking a toll, depression. The fifth stage is acceptance. And with acceptance, it's not that you're not feeling your feelings or your emotions, but you're saying that this is how it is and I'm not going to fight it. So that might be, I accept that the pandemic is here and I cannot go see my loved ones on a daily or weekly basis like I used to, but I am thankful that I'm able to use apps, for example, to communicate with them, and thankful that they're being safe and we're taking safety precautions. I accept that. It's frustrating, but I accept it and I'm going to work through that. So that's what acceptance is like. So how can we deal with this grief? So here are a few pointers. And real quick, I did have on sunsetconcierge.com, I did a blog on self-care. So you might want to have a look at that. I will go ahead and put the link to that down in the comments or description of this video. But I'll just discuss a few pointers for how you might be able to deal with grief and the feelings that you're having right now in the COVID-19 pandemic. So my first pointer, which I mentioned earlier, is to identify your feelings. And as I said, I identify it and I find it very useful to identify it as grief. The second thing I want to say is you can focus on the now. So focus on what you can control. This is your situation today. You're not sure what tomorrow will hold, nor can you control what happens tomorrow. So live in the now, focus on today. The next thing is to talk about it. As I mentioned, we're going through this pandemic as a collective. It is a worldwide situation. And so there are people who understand what you're going through. So, talk about it, but also have a balance, because it might be useful to one person to talk about it at one time. And then at another time, you might feel overwhelmed and it's just too much information. And maybe you need to take a step back, and that's okay. Turn off the TV, turn off the news, get off social media. The numbers will be there tomorrow. So if you need to take a break and a step back, you can do that as well. Something that has helped me is to keep moving. So for example, when I'm working in the daytime, I work for about 30 to 45 minutes. Then I step away from my desk. I come downstairs, just walk up and down the steps a little bit, maybe for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then I go back to my desk. I try to get outside, weather permitting, take a walk, maybe go for a drive, just keep moving. Exercise if you can. The next thing I wanted to point out, and most importantly, is to be gentle, give yourself grace, and give others grace as well. This is something that we never could have imagined, and it's a lot to deal with on a daily basis. And so give yourself some grace. You might find that there are things that you used to do a year ago, which is a little bit of a challenge for you to deal with today. Maybe it's getting up every day and going out for a run. Things are different. The world is very different right now. And give yourself grace if you're not necessarily at the point that you expected or planned for yourself. And give others grace as well. You know, Feelings and emotions can manifest in many different ways. And so some people might be very anxious. Anxiety is something that I deal with personally. You might find that a coworker or a family member is a little bit, snapping at you, maybe a little bit short-tempered, or just, whatever, not on it, not on things like they used to be. Extend some grace because they're going through things also. This is a new normal. It's a lot to accept and to work through. So we're just all trying to do our best. So I hope that this talk was informative and helpful to you. And that's it. Join me next time for the next episode of Legacy and Tea. And you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.